Saturday, the day of reckoning, the fight card takes place. The fight card that we've been waiting for. AJ's on the card, Wilder's on the card, Parker's on the card, Dubois, Jarrell Miller, Bivol is on the card as well. Otto Wallin, Opataya is also on the card. Frank Sanchez is on the card. Couple of the highlight names there. So be sure to like this video, share this video, drop your comments in the comments section below. Gonna be running through every single fight from start of the card to top of the bill. Still don't know who's gonna be main event. Like I know they're gonna have it's gonna be they were saying whether Wilder versus Parker will be co-main event for Joshua versus Wallin, but it's not been actually really confirmed who's gonna be top of that bill. I would think it should be Wilder versus Parker, considering that is a like on paper it's a bigger fight. But you know, maybe Wallin might be top of the bill, which I suspect might be the case. But I'm gonna jump into each and every fight. First off, obviously you've got Opataya versus Zorro. Now, Opataya is apparently going to be stripped of his IBF belt. Now, to be taken on Ellis Zorro. Now, some people say, why on earth would he allow himself to be stripped? Now, the IBF have said that if he is to fight Zorro on Saturday, they will strip him of his IBF title. And Opataya is obviously he's gonna go ahead and go ahead with the fight. Now, some of you are gonna ask like, what's wrong with Zorro? What's wrong with sort of this fight going ahead where IBF is now threatening to say we're not gonna allow you to hold the IBF. The fact is, likely is the fact that Zorro hasn't really fought. He hasn't fought any world title fights. He's not ranked highly. I think he's still at British level or English level. It seems like they've just given him Opataya, given him Zorro just to, just have his name on the card. Without any sort of issues, no, not to make it too competitive because Zorro is not beating Opataya. Let's just keep it real. He's not at he's not at this currently at this level. Like you're being thrown in there with arguably the best, fighter in that division right now. Doesn't make sense. Cruiserweight division, Opataya, is no joke. Like Zorro's gonna get knocked out. I'll be very shocked if I see Zorro going 12 rounds. This is high level. Like, and IBF is just like, no, 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 no. To be fair, WBC should be acting like the IBF. All this Fury fighting in Garnu and no serious mandatories happening and no mandatories actually been called and Wilder and Ruiz were meant to fight and all of a sudden it didn't happen. Like IBF have put their foot down on this one for whatever reason, but yeah, I expect Opataya to come through that fight with relative ease. Next off, we've got Frank Sanchez versus Junior Farr. Gonna be an interesting fight, that one, because Frank Sanchez is a very quick fighter. He's definitely got the good hand speed. They don't call him the Cuban Flash for no reason. It's very good hand speed, good foot speed as well. And Junior Farr, if you watch the fight that Junior Farr had with Parker a while ago, he's got decent. His feet is decent speed on the foot. Not as the hand speed ain't as quick as what do you call it, Frank Sanchez, but he's not no slouch either. But I do expect Frank Sanchez to come through that fight. I wouldn't be surprised if Farr does look competitive, just because of how he's not a slow sort of fighter. He's not going to be overly overwhelmed by sort of Frank Sanchez's speed, but I just expect Frank Sanchez is a bit more seasoned. He's fought a bit more, his better opponents. And especially coming out of Cuba as well, those guys are very well versed when it comes to their amateur pedigree and things in that sense. And especially Frank Sanchez's performance when he fought F.A. Jagba. Frank Sanchez should be coming through Junior Farr. And a lot of people are saying that Frank Sanchez is the guy that people are avoiding. He's become the guy where everyone's like, who needs him? Like he's quick, he's got quick hands, quick on his feet, and he doesn't really bring too much to the table in terms of pay-per-view sales, pay-per-view potential sales, and being a recognized name. It doesn't really bring that to the table. So maybe a good maybe a knockout stoppage victory over Junior Farr here on a card like this could make people start paying attention. So yeah, I definitely expect Frank Sanchez to come through that fight. Won't be surprised if it does go 12 rounds just because of the styles of the guys. But if Frank Sanchez, I wouldn't be surprised if Frank Sanchez was pushing late rounds potentially to get the stoppage. But yeah, I believe Frank Sanchez should come through that fight by unanimous decision. Then you've got Hrgovic versus Demori. I expect Hrgovic to come through that fight. Demori, well, you're ranked number one in the IBF, Mr. Hrgovic. You should be coming through that and beating that guy. You know, whether by stoppage, or by UD. But to be fair, I do expect Hrgovic to beat Demori by stoppage. I feel like Demori will have a go, try and make a good account of himself, but I suspect that Hrgovic will get that stoppage around mid rounds, probably most likely. Um, you've got what else we got on the card? We've got Makhmudov versus Caballero. That's a decent little sort of fight. I do feel like Makhmudov does have the power, and the strong will to really get Caballero out of there. I think Jarrell Miller was saying that he was meant to fight Caballero. I'm not sure, but Makhmudov he's gonna deal with Caballero. I'm telling you, the power is decent speed of that right hand as well. I can't remember the guy he lost knocked out. I think it was on the Tyson Fury undercard, I believe, for Francis Ngannou, and knocked that guy out right hand on the ropes. And I just feel like Makhmudov has a lot more to prove. I feel like he has a lot more to sort of gain and try and build up his reputation in the heavyweight division. And I'm very sure he's going to want to make a statement against Caballero, and I suspect he will win that fight by stoppage. If I had to say, maybe around mid rounds or just after mid rounds, we're looking at about maybe around 5 to 7. Because Caballero will try and make a fight of it. But yeah, I expect Makhmudov to get the stoppage victory over Ajit Caballero. Who else we got on the card? We've got, listen, this card is stacked. Once you start rolling through, we've already gone through Opataya, Frank Sanchez, Hrgovic, good names there. Who we got next? Bivol versus Lyndon Arthur. Now, this is an interesting fight because Lyndon Arthur, Lyndon Arthur most known for his victory over Anthony Yarde. Bivol definitely going to be the overwhelming favorite to beat Lyndon Arthur. I know Lyndon Arthur is known for having a pretty good jab. Bivol is a very well schooled fighter. He's fought so many fighters, amateur level, pro. He's been one of the dominating fighters in the light heavyweight division, alongside not Dimitri, what's his name, Beterbiev. And yeah, I expect Bivol to come through this fight. It does really sort of depend on the sort of Bivol that shows up, if he's really motivated to obviously make a statement against Lyndon Arthur, because we have seen Bivol, after maybe not being as active when he fought Craig Richards, and Craig Richards was decently competitive in that fight. He was quite competitive in that fight. He didn't look bad. He didn't look like he wasn't supposed to be there. So can Lyndon Arthur, find himself in a similar sort of scenario? The only problem that I do have with Lyndon Arthur is that I just don't feel like he's got that power to really make Bivol respect him, because Anthony Yarde didn't respect his power in the rematch, and so Bivol is just very well schooled, very well trained. He's got bigger fights over the horizon, and I just don't feel like he's going to be having Lyndon Arthur allowing him to cause any sort of serious problems or anything like that. So yeah, man, I expect Bivol to win by unanimous decision. I feel like he will get the UD victory. I feel like Lyndon Arthur will do enough to stay in there. Keep try and do what he can really, but I think unanimous decision victory by Bivol. And if you really press the pace, potential stoppage, I would say from round 7 to round 9. If I had to really say, Bivol will get the stoppage. In terms of the next fight, we have obviously Daniel Dubois versus Jarrell Miller. Now we're getting into the big heavyweights. Now Daniel Dubois, he obviously is coming off the loss to Alexander Usyk. The infamous body shot that some people say it was legit, some people say it was too low. Irregardless, lost to Alexander Usyk. Jarrell Miller, who did Jarrell Miller last fight? He fought what's this? It's the Australian guy, Lucas Brown. Got the stoppage victory over Lucas Brown, and it was very tough, entertaining sort of fight. They both went to war, and obviously Jarrell Miller, with that 300 pounds, was able to put Lucas Brown away. But this fight is going to be very interesting to see what the dynamics is going to be like, because Dubois is going to be looking to I believe he's going to look to try and land those heavy bombs early, because Jarrell Miller is there to be hit. He hasn't got the best head movement. He is going to be there to be hit. And the critical thing that's going to be part of this fight is, can Jarrell Miller take Daniel Dubois' power? Because if he can, I feel like Jarrell Miller will take Daniel Dubois into deep, deep waters. It's going to be very tough for, Daniel Dubois to be dealing, with what he needs to deal with. So it's going to be very tough for him in that sense, because Jarrell Miller, is just 300 pounds, walking you down, hitting you with shots that it looks like from the ice not hurting, but it's heavy, 300 pounds weighted in them shots. And don't need to be in there for 12 rounds with someone that heavy, and you're getting slow and your shots are not having effect. And with Daniel Dubois, is he really going to want to stay in there? Is he going to get you sort of made to stop? We need to wait and see what happens there. But I would say Jarrell Miller, it would be. I feel like Jarrell Miller is favourite to win this fight, only by a slight margin. But I feel like we'll know who's really going to win the fight, to be honest, from the opening 2 rounds. How many shots is Jarrell Miller taking from Daniel Dubois flush? And is he able to take that power for longevity of the fight? And if he is, then it looks like Daniel Dubois, it could be in trouble. But listen, Daniel Dubois hits very hard, man. This guy, Jarrell Miller, I think, is going to walk in there and take Daniel Dubois' power flush in the chin. Maybe the oak tree will be landing on the canvas, and the referee will have to wave it off and stop it. So we have to wait and see what happens with that one. But I would favour Jarrell Miller at the moment to win that fight. If Jarrell Miller did win, I think he would win the fight somewhere between round 8 to round 10, I believe, once he's taken Dubois a bit late and Dubois starts to slow, because Dubois does appear quite athletic at the beginning, but he does tend to get a bit slower and more stationary later in fights. But if Jarrell Miller seems anyway stung by Daniel Dubois' power, I believe Daniel Dubois would be able to stop Jarrell Miller anywhere from round 4 to round 6. That's how I see it. Very simple. Next up, we've got where do we even go? We're gonna go Wilder Parker. We're gonna go AJ Wallin. Let's just do Wilder versus Joseph Parker, assuming Joshua Wallin is gonna be top of the bill. This fight, I'm definitely leaning Wilder by 60-40 in Wilder's favor. 40% reason I'm giving Parker that percent is mainly because he's been a former WBO champion. He's been in a lot of fights that should have built up his experience. He's fought Anthony Joshua. He's fought Joe Joyce. He's been in some good fights. He's fought Dillian White. So I'm assuming, being in those fights, gaining a lot of experience working with Andy Lee, and being a former WBO champion, that should put him in good stead in terms of the possibility of him actually beating Deontay Wilder. Problem is that I don't really believe he will beat Deontay Wilder. That's the thing. Parker, historically, from what, it's not even me saying it, we've seen him when he steps up to fight people who are going to present a big danger to him, or he just hasn't seemed to really get over the line. He fought Anthony Joshua, couldn't take it to Anthony Joshua. Fought Dillian White, he tried to rally in the 12th round, but why didn't he rally in round 10, 11, before leaving it so late? He did try to push the issue against Joe Joyce. Obviously, he didn't have the power to really stop Joe Joyce, but I feel like in the Joe Joyce fight, he did show a bit more than he's shown before. But nevertheless, he still wasn't able to beat Joe Joyce, the same Joe Joyce that Zhang was able to knock Spark out. So yeah, let's see what happens, man. I feel like Deontay Wilder will be a bit too dynamic, a bit too strong, just a bit too fast, especially that right hand, on whether off the ropes or whether on the front foot. I just believe Wilder will land that right hand anywhere between round 1 to round 3, and I just don't think Joseph Parker will get up. Or even if he does get up, I feel like Wilder will get him out of there anytime from round 1 to round 3. If Parker does win that fight, I believe it will be somewhere between round 7 to round 9. If he does want to see, if I do feel like he'll get a stoppage, but if Parker does win, I feel like it would be on the scorecards. But I don't really have much confidence in the fight really going that far without him getting detonated by that powerful right hand, that bronze bomber right hand right there. Nah, Parker's going to sleep, man. He's losing. Parker is getting knocked out. That's what's going to happen to Joe. He's getting knocked out. That fight is going to end within round one to round three. The right hand will land, and Parker is going to be going to sleep. Very simple, but have to still give him that possibility of obviously winning himself. If Parker did get a stoppage, he's going to have to take it to Wilder. He's going to have to gamble on the risk of getting knocked out himself, and that then calls into question the character we've seen from him before. Not taking it to fight, not taking it to the big names enough. Not He didn't take it to White. He didn't take it to Anthony Joshua. So is he really gonna take it to Deontay Wilder, someone that can put him out and knock him out in devastating fashion? Is Parker going to be going to the corner and Andy Lee's trying to give him instructions? He's going out there. He's not even doing what Andy Lee's told him to do. This is the thing that I suspect that's going to happen with Joseph Parker. So I'm heavily favouring Deontay Wilder to win by knockout, anywhere between round one to round three. If Parker does win, maybe he does. If he takes it to Wilder, then maybe he could win anywhere. He could maybe get a stoppage himself. You never know, because Parker does have good hand speed. He does have good fast counters, fast hooks. His feet are very good foot of speed. He's got a bit slower now compared to when he fought AJ. But he's got very good foot speed. But Wilder's got very good foot speed, especially if Wilder comes in around the weight anywhere between 218 pounds to maybe anywhere from 215 pounds to 223. I'd say anywhere between that range. Wilder does tend to be very quick on his feet. He look a bit slow on his feet against Tyson Fury in the second fight and third fight, because he was 230 plus pounds. But Wilder gets back down to this lower sort of, his normal range that's meant for himself. This 215 to 223. I believe will be too fast for Parker. I believe the right hand will be too fast. And I believe it will be a right hand that Parker didn't expect, straight from the pocket of Wilder. Lands, detonates on Joseph Parker's chin, and Parker will be absolutely ironed out on the canvas. So that's what I feel is going to happen. Wilder by knockout, anywhere from round one to round three. Anthony Joshua versus Otto Wallin. It's going to be a sort of very interesting fight. I am favouring Anthony Joshua to beat Otto Wallin. I believe Otto Wallin will be a puzzle for Joshua to sort of solve in the early going, because Wallin is a southpaw. Wallin did do quite well. He did better than people expected against Tyson Fury. So that fight, I'm definitely guessing that Wallin's still carrying confidence from his performance there. He did have a win over Gassiev. Gassiev, obviously, from the cruiserweight divisions moved up, been over Gassiev. He has beaten Dominic Brazil. And he's unbeaten since obviously losing to Tyson Fury. And there's no shame in losing to Tyson Fury. And a lot of people will say Fury was meant to be stopped on the cut. So it's going to be interesting to see what sort of proposition Otto Wallin's going to bring to Anthony Joshua. I just feel like Wallin will be a puzzle for Anthony Joshua to solve, because he's southpaw. He's a bit tricky. Fury was, in the early going struggling to nail him down a bit just because of his movement. But I feel like as Wallin begins to slow, I feel like Anthony Joshua will get to Wallin at some stage. And it'll be a question of whether Wallin can can survive. But yeah, I believe Anthony Joshua will stop Wallin from anywhere between round 7 to round 9. But I wouldn't be surprised actually if this fight did actually end up going to the scorecards over 12 rounds. Both maybe Joshua being a bit circumspect and Wallin being evasive enough and having enough survival skills, and getting enough respect from Anthony Joshua for the fight drawing out to 12 rounds. And if he does go to 12 rounds, I believe AJ will have done enough to beat Otto Wallin. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if AJ to get the stoppage anywhere from round 4 through to round 6. That wouldn't shock me at all, once he's able to sort of gradually figure out the puzzle of Otto Wallin, especially considering the fact that Ben Davison was in the corner of Tyson Fury when Fury fought Otto Wallin. So he's got a very good sort of trainer in place there that has an eye for the technical aspects of things, the fine details. So maybe he might be able to get Otto Wallin out of there. But wouldn't surprise me if AJ went 12 rounds with Wallin, considering the fact that he didn't really he fought what's his name, Jermaine Franklin. That went 12 rounds. And Pulev, You know, I believe he stopped Pulev, but I think he stopped Pulev in like round 9. He stopped. Believe he stopped Hellenius in round 7. So if all those guys are able to go a bit longer with Anthony Joshua, who's to say Wallin can't get there or potentially go to 12 rounds with AJ? So 12 rounds, I believe it will go with Anthony Joshua and Wallin, or AJ stopping Wallin maybe between round 4 to round 6. But don't count out Otto Wallin actually causing an upset here in terms of his evasiveness. And at the end of the day, it is still heavyweight boxing, folks. So that's my take for this fight card. What say you? Drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me see what you guys think about each and every fight on this card, especially the heavyweight ones. Heavyweight boxing, anything can happen. Obviously, we're favoring AJ to win. Wallin, you never know what can happen. Parker is no slouch. You know, former WBO champion. He's coming off a knockout victory over Simon Keane. Obviously, Simon Keane is nowhere near any sort of Deontay Wilder, and doesn't present any sort of problems that Simon Keane doesn't present any sort of problems to Joseph Parker, considering his lack of experience. And obviously Wilder, with that dynamite detonated punching power of that right hand, is obviously going to make Joseph Parker more cautious. But it is still heavyweight boxing, and Joseph Parker is a top 10 heavyweight, so can't necessarily rule him out. And then obviously we've got Dubois versus Miller. Let's see what happens there. So drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me see what you guys think. Is AJ going to win his fight? Is Wilder going to win his fight? Are we going to get Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder to actually take place on that? Is it March 9th or March 7th, I believe? I can't remember the date that they're saying that they've potentially agreed for. Probably going to make a fight, make a video about this potential Wilder versus Joshua fight. I know everyone's got their takes about what can happen or what's going to happen. Might drop a video on that, but let's see what happens, man. Drop your comments. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and share the video across all platforms as well. Cool.